Hey, how's it going? So pretty random today. We're going to be working on a soccer chair that belongs to someone, and I'll explain a little bit more later on, but need to get it done. It's late morning right now. It's going to get hot today, and the air quality index is not very good right now. I need to do this sort of outside, so I'm going to hop in the van, head up to the shop, and we're going to try and get this done because, yeah, I'll explain more in a bit. Oh man. Yeah, air quality's not super good. I had to turn on the wipers to get all of the fallen ash off of my windshield. Hopefully we can get this done. We might be able to do it indoors. I don't know. We'll find out here in a few minutes. Gross. All right, here is our victim for today. This is a Strike Force soccer chair. And I can't give a whole lot of details, but we'll just say that this thing encountered an event that bent the wheels and the front caster, forks, and the wheels, and also damage the seating positioning, or what do they call these? Lateral supports, rib killers, whatever. Anyways, I've got all the new parts here, and we're going to get those installed. And yeah, that's basically it. I think you can see the fine layer of ash from the wildfires that is all over everything here. And there isn't really any blue sky. There's just kind of some nastiness, but yeah, we should be able to get this done here pretty quick, I think. All right, first thing we're gonna do is get these rear wheels back on here. We've got some brand new air-filled ones, and these are not bent like the other ones are. So let's see if we can get these started on here. Huh, I wonder if they're using, whoops, almost dropped a bolt down the drain. I wonder if they're using some different material. These new wheels are almost more shiny than the old ones. All right, are you ready for some danger zone? Can I pick up that bolt without it going down the drain? That is the question for today. All right, that was close. Now, a lot of times you'd use power tools for this, but seeing as how this thing had a bit of an impact and or was dropped, I'm running these in by hand just to make sure all the threads and everything are okay. Because if I run them in here with impact, then it's a little bit harder to tell if there's a problem. But these all went in nice and smooth. Everything seems good there. Get them tightened down. Everything there looks good. Come back around and get that torque down before we're completely done, because there is a torque spec on these things. And the other side, man, the sunlight is so orange right now. And now we're gonna get to replacing these front spindle housings, caster forks, and the wheels. It's not super obvious on camera, but these things are all tweaked. The only trick with taking these out is, I believe, oh, yeah, this is how I blocked up the whole chair just now. So I should probably move this block, because as soon as I take these out, that thing's gonna fall off of there. Okay, maybe a little more. There we go. And these just kind of slide out. Oh, yep, sure enough. Two separate pieces. Then I want to go ahead and get the front forks set up with the new caster wheels. Before we put them on, that should make things a little bit easier. double check and make sure our bearings are in there. We have a spacer in the middle. It can be a little tricky sometimes to get that spacer to line up, but apparently today it was no problem. Just verify all our spacers are the correct size. We want to make sure that this spacer is only pressing on the center part of this bearing. If it's pressing anywhere here, that's going to affect the ability of the wheel to spin properly. But I was just double checking, make sure the parts are correct. So we should be able to just kind of crank this down fairly tight. And these two spacers are bushings. Will press up against the bearings, and the bearings will press against the spacer in the middle. So if everything is proper, we should be able to just tighten this down, and we're not going to have any issues with friction or the wheel not wanting to spin. Assuming everything was sized and assembled correctly. These are also nylocks, so less of a chance for those to come off. All right, well, we all know where these parts came from, so you gotta kind of do things a little differently sometimes. We'll pop that back a little bit. Other brands of regular chairs that use this setup don't have that issue, but there we go. That looks good. And we do still have enough of the bolt engaged in that little nylon piece there, so it shouldn't back off. There we go. As far as these bearings go, these came from the factory, so those should be good. Let's get the other one done. Huh, this one's actually fine. Yeah, see, this is how it's supposed to be. You can crank it down and it doesn't affect the bearings at all. All right, let's take a look at this one again. There's a chance. Oh yeah, this bearing's not completely flush. There's actually a fix for this, and it usually involves tapping on it with a hammer. All right, that's pretty good. All right, these are ready to go back on the chair. Put this one over there, and we can get this reinstalled. These bolts actually go all the way through. This is hollow, and then this plate here that your foot plates mount to actually has the threads on it. Let's get these caps transferred over. Okay, everything there looks good. There is also a little flat washer in there that you don't want to lose. Actually, before we get that off, let's pull this cap off. Probably why my knife is not very sharp. And I would have designed that a little bit differently. But I just work here. Can't complain. Again, once I lower this down, I'll get those cinched down properly. And it's probably going to take, a little bit of movement or playing around with the chair for these bearings to kind of wear in. So we'll just call that good. Don't forget your coffee. It's the most important part. And also as I work, I like to go around and double check any other bolts that I see and just make sure they are cinched up and tight. Now I want to do a test while we have this thing up off the ground and make sure that these motors and wheels are spinning the way they should. They are air-filled, and I haven't checked the inflation on those yet. They usually ship them with just a tiny bit of air in there. But what I'm looking for is the wheel itself, which you actually can't see from that angle, but I want to see if the wheel itself is wobbling as opposed to the tires. So you'll probably see some movement of the tires as we do this. I think my camera might be overheating. I don't know if we got that last clip, but look at this flat surface of the wheel here. Rock solid. There's no movement whatsoever. Sweet. It's definitely not wobbling like it was before because the old wheels were in fact bent, but we may have to get this thing on the ground and actually run it around. I can't tell with my eyeballs and no weight on it if anything is wobbling. I checked the motor shafts though and the run out on those when I first inspected this thing, and they were fine. So I don't know, we're gonna continue on here though. Next thing we're gonna do is replace these lateral supports. But luckily, this backrest, you can pull a latch and the whole thing just comes right off. So we can move over to a table or a bench and make this a little easier. Oh my gosh, okay, we get it, you're birds. So, at least we're not in the sun up here also. Man, those birds are insufferable today. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back fabric off of here. I think there's a little bit more hardware involved on the back side that would be easier to see. Yeah, I got some clips and assorted things there. And I'm just taking note of the position of all this stuff as I remove it. Yeah, we have all this stuff that slides in and out also. Let's open up our new package and see what all it comes with. Should be a complete kit. Ah yes, Body Link is owned by Permobil, by the way. What appears though, we have all new hardware. Excellent. And we have sort of a right and left arrangement. So we want to line up the buttons so that they are the way they were. And we just kind of put everything back how it was. There you can see our release button is there and here. We can go ahead and get this reinstalled. And what did they do here? Oh, derp. Let's do that correctly. I love how I always immediately jump to blaming someone else for whatever's going on. I'm just used to repairing stuff that has been screwed up by other people, and when I make a mistake, it's like, wait, what did they do? No, that was all you, buddy. Okay, that looks good. All right. There we go. Those seem to be functioning now. All right, cool. That appears to be ready to reinstall. Man, all the ash flying around is just getting on everything. Ugh. These guys should flip out. Obviously, these are going to need to be adjusted in for the user a little bit. I'm going to grab the old ones real quick and just kind of check the angle to see if we can get those kind of close to where they should be. And, oh, they just point straight forward. Excellent. Should be fairly easy to adjust out. They're gonna have to do a little bit of fine tuning when they get this thing back to get it how they need it to be. And now it's time for everyone's favorite part, verifying the repair. This is where things sometimes get interesting. because you can only do so much when you're troubleshooting this stuff. And you can use your eyeballs, you can use your tools, but sometimes there can be problems that are unforeseen. I'm hoping that's not the case here. When I originally inspected this, I pulled the wheels off, checked the run out on the motor shafts, and they seemed fine. But with everything not being under load, it can make a difference. So we're gonna lower this down, get the thing pulled off of here, then we're gonna run it around. The main problem with this thing is it was like some sort of weird rodeo ride. It was like bouncing everywhere as it rolled. So that's what we need to not have happen. We know these front parts are fine. The only unknown are the motor gearboxes, but the output shafts are like this long and they're directly connected to some bearings. And it's almost impossible for those to bend. So anyways, I'm gonna get this moved up here just a little bit. We're gonna get a ramp behind this and pull this thing off here and see what we got. The problem with any of this is obviously you're dealing with third-party companies and whatnot doing repairs like this, and they want to get things done, which is great. This particular company that I'm working with has been awesome. Again, I can't give too many details on all this, but it's gonna suck if I have to go back to them and be like, hey, we need new motors, but I'm probably getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna wait for my friend to get done with what he's doing. He's got a ramp here somewhere. We're gonna pull this off and test it. I'm hoping, crossing fingers, I'm hoping we're fine. By the way, I wasn't kidding about all the ash flying around. This is just from the couple hours we've been out here, and it's on basically everything. There's my coffee. Yeah. Okay, what do we got? I think it feels fine.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks fine. All right, cool. We're good. All right. I was just nervous about that. It's not under load and everything, you know, but
That looks good.
Okay, sweet. And there we go. A soccer chair all ready to go and fight another day. Yeah, you can't even see the hills. They're just right out there. Lovely.